Mean, median, mode and range. That's what we're going to look at. Okay. Now those four come together, but actually there are two different types of statistics there. So first of all, we have a group of three, the M's, which are all measures of the center ground of the data. So first of all, we have the mode here. Now the mode relates to the most common piece of data, the value of data that you find in your set. I've underlined the M and the O in mode with the M and the O in most because that helps people to remember. So mode is most common. Next we've got median. To find the median we have to put the numbers in order and then find the middle. I'll talk about the middle bit in a minute. But just notice we've got med here, which is medium or whatever, and middle. So that's your sort of reminder to help you remember the median. Now, with the median, it's all about finding the position, the middle position. So if you've got an odd number of pieces of data, there literally will be a piggy in the middle that you've got to find. And the way that you can do that, I know a lot of you like this sort of coming in from the outside, okay, but I've seen mistakes made with that. So, and when the data gets bigger and more of it, it doesn't work so well. So what you can do is take, work out how many pieces of data you've got, and if it's an odd number, add 1 to that number and then halve it, and that will tell you what position you're looking for. So for example, if you had 21 pieces of data, we'd add 1 which makes 22, we'd divide by 2 which gives us 11, and we'd need to count along then and find the 11th position. So 11 won't be our median, but once we've found the 11th position we'll be able to read the data that's in the 11th position, and that will be our median. If you've got an even number of pieces of data, then actually the middle will fall between 2 in the middle. So we can do something similar. This time, let's say it was 16 pieces of data. So I would divide by 2, which gives me 8. So I need the 8th piece of data and the next one along. So I need to look at the 8th piece of data and the 9th piece of data, and then I need to work out what's in the middle of those 2 pieces of data. Finally, we have the mean. The mean is the mean one because it makes you do the most work. That's the way to remember that one. So to do the mean, you need to add up, you need to total all the pieces of data, and then you need to divide that total by how many pieces of data you had. So that's how we do those. We're going to do some examples in just a minute. So then the fourth one, range. Now range is different from those first 3. It's different because it's a measure of spread. In other words, how varied the data is. Generally speaking, there's not very many situations mathematically where you want that range to be big. Typically you want that range to be small, because small means that you've got consistent data. The more consistent your data is, the smaller the range is, the more accurate you can be in saying that is what is typical of the situation that you're dealing with. So consistency is better, which means we want a narrower, smaller range. So we calculate the range by taking the highest piece of data and taking away from that the lowest. So the highest minus the lowest. So let's have a go. So here we have somebody who has twisted a spinner 10 times, and these are the scores that they've got. So we've got 1, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4, 1. So the first thing it asks us to do is work out the mode. So we're looking for the number in that list that comes up the most often. I think from a glance you can see it's either 1 or 4. So if we look at the 1s, we've got 3 of them. If we look at the 4s, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 4s. So it's 4 that is our mode. Now, it is possible to have more than one mode. So if there'd been 3 1s and 3 4s, both of those would have been modes. And sometimes you can have no mode at all. So if all the numbers are completely different, then we have no mode. So the next thing it asks us to do is work out the mean. So that means we need to add up all of these numbers. So we've got 1 and 4 is 5, plus 4 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 3 is 14, plus 4 is 18, plus 5 is 23, plus 1 is 24, plus 4 is 28, plus 1 is 29. So the total is 29, and then we need to divide that by the number of them there were, and we know that there were 10 that he did. So 29 divided by 10 is going to give us 2.9. And then finally we want the range. So that means we need to find the highest number in the list, which is 5. And take away the lowest, which is 1. So the range is 4. Okay, at the bottom here we've got another set of data. This is how many minutes she spends on her mobile phone over 7 days. So there's 7 pieces of data. So we've got 8, 5, 13, 6, 24, 19 and 10 are 7 pieces of data, and it asks us to find the median. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to write this list of numbers in numerical order. So that means we're going to start with the 5. Now typically I would cross off as I was going, but I don't want to obliterate it. So 5 and then 6, then 8, then 10, 13, 19 and 24. So I have 7 pieces of data, so I'm going to add 1, which makes 8, divide by 2, which is 4. So I want the 4th piece of data, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is my median of 10. So I'm not saying that counting in from the outside doesn't work. When you've got a very small list like this, that might be fine. But you are going to come across some examples where you've got much more data, and so you need to be familiar with this other way of doing it. So you might as well practice it on the simple ones. Okay, so let's go with another example. Here we've got ages of 9 children at a birthday party. So we've got 10, 12, 13, 10, 11, 14, 15, 10 and 12. So our first job is to find the mode. So we're looking for the age that comes up the most often. At the moment my eye is drawn to 10. So we've got 1, 2, 3 10s there. I can't see anything to beat that. So 10 years old is our mode. Now they want us to work out the median, so we need to put them in order. Actually, just a little bit of a shortcut. If you're going to be asked the mode and the median in the same question, you might as well do the order first, because then that makes the mode much easier to spot and find because all the numbers are together. So here we go. We've got 10, 10, 10. Then we've got an 11. We've got 2 12s. We've got a 13, a 14 and a 15 then to finish off. And it's always worth checking that you've still got the same number of pieces of data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've got 9 pieces of data. So it's an odd number, so we're going to add 1 to make 10, divide by 2, that gives us 5, so we're looking for the fifth piece of data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's our median there. Okay, now the numbers are in order. That also helps us with working out the range as well, because here's the highest and here's the lowest. If we take them away, we get 5. So now we've got the hard work to do. We've got to work out the mean. So we've got to add up all of those numbers. It does actually say you can use a calculator for this one. So let's do that in the interest of time. Okay. So we've got 3 10s, which I'm just going to put straight in as 30, plus 11, plus 12, plus 12, plus 13, plus 14, plus 15, and that all equals 107. So we've got 107. We've got to divide it by the number of pieces of data, which was 9. So 107 divided by 9 gives us 11.888. Okay, so what would I write here for the answer? I think I'm going to round it to 1 decimal place. So we're going to say 11.9 years old would be the mean age. Okay, one last example which has got a slight twist at the end to show you. So this is a football team. They've played 6 games. And this is the number of goals they scored. So we've got 6, 0, 3, 2, 2, and 5. So we've got 6 games altogether. So the first thing they ask us for is the median number of goals. So we have to put them in order. So we've got 0, 2 2s, a 3, and then 5 and 6. So this is an even number. So I divide that by 2, that gives me 3, so I need the third one and the one next to it. And so my answer is halfway between those two, so my answer is going to be 2.5. So now let's work out the mean number of goals, so we need to add them up. So we've got 2 and 2 is 4, and 3 is 7, and 5 is 12, and 6 is 18. And then we've got to divide that by the 6, so that gives us a mean of 3 goals per game. Now, let's look at the bottom twist. It says the football team play 1 more game, and the mean number of goals scored increases to 4. So the mean is now 4 instead of 3. And we've got to work out how many goals were scored in that last game. So we now need to use this formula for the mean backwards. So we've got the mean equals the total divided by the number of. So at this stage, what do we know? We know the mean is 4. We don't know what the total number of goals is, so that stays. But we do know that the number of games was 7, because we had 6, we've now got 7. And so using this simple little equation here, we can work out the total number of goals over all 7 games would be 4 times 7, which is 28. Now, remember up here we worked out how many goals had been scored in the 6 games. That was 18. So if we take that away from the 28, that leaves us with how many goals must have been scored in that last game to change the mean from 3 to 4. So they obviously had a very good game.